again for part two. My phone cut off like I said it probably would. I'm gonna have to give me a camera eventually. But anyway, we're talking about helpmate, the biblical and spiritual ramifications of being a helpmate or not being a helpmate, and what it truly means in the biblical sense, in the Hebrew sense. Now, when you're talking about we talked about intimacy, and I was talking about how important it is to be intimate with your mate. How important the spiritual power that comes from being having intimacy, as far as it's a wall, it's a protector. And the Hebrew word for helpmate is Ezer Kenegdu. I might have pronounced that wrong, but Ezer has two roots, each beginning with different. Kind of a different sound in a sense. One meant power and the other strength. Eventually, both end up merging. The translation that should be read is, I shall make a helper fit for him, or I will make a fitting helper for him. I will make I will make an aid for him, an aid fit for him. And I actually like that. I'll make an aid fit for him, because we are to aid each other in this life. Anyway, I'll make a helper comparable to him. Just kind of some different translations of what helpmate truly means. The customary translation of Ezer Kenegdu is a helper fit. It says a helper fit. Some theologians or academics said that that's wrong. The Z and R meaning to rescue and to save, and the GZR meaning to be strong. Today, the letter is silent in Hebrew. But if we truly, even when you go back to that word, and say, what does it mean? What does Ezer Kenegdu mean? What is that? The two scriptures that popped up that eloquently, in my opinion, shows what a helpmate truly is, and shows what the power of intimacy. In the book of Deuteronomy 33 and 26, it says, there is none like unto the God of Jeshurun, who rideth upon the heaven in thy help. That word thy help is the same word Ezer Kenegdu. That's what that means, thy help. That, so in other words, it's saying that help is so significant. It's like the help that it's like the help of God when he helped Israel. Deuteronomy 33 33 and 7 says, and this is the blessing of Judah. And he said, hear, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and be thou an help to him from his enemies. So a woman, a helpmate, is a man's help to his enemies? How is that when he's the stronger vessel? I'll show you how. It's spiritual, guys. We're in spiritual warfare. This is not some kind of physical battle that we think. This is spiritual war, and I'll show you how. In the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 1, chapter 7, verses 5. I get so excited. I started talking fast, so excuse me, guys. But we have the Apostle Paul said, he said, defraud ye, talking about marriage, defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your inconsistency. He said, come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your inconsistency. You say, well, what does that mean? The marriage bed, the helpmate, is a protector against Satan. See, the downfall of Adam and Eve, and this is the lesson behind it. The downfall of that is that they didn't have that intimate wall up. And the intimate wall is first spiritual. It's first spiritual. You have to pray. You have to cover each other. Pray against those demons. Pray against those spirits. Pray against that thing that can divide you guys. Pray against the devourer who is seeking to kill you, and they separate your marriage. First, it's a spiritual intimacy you have to have in your relationship in marriage. Second is a physical intimacy that you must have. Because see, in a sense, we're sexual creatures. We're emotional creatures. And if a woman or a man is not available sexually in marriage, not available emotionally in marriage, not available intimately, we create a wedge. And what happens is Fornication. That's how adultery slips in. Somebody comes to fill that void that you were not filling because you were not doing what you're supposed to do. When it talks about intimacy, it talks about one flesh. Being one is joined, it's connected, it's stuck like glue. When something is stuck like glue, it's hard to pull apart. When you see one, you see another. You see another. That's why if your husband and a wife team is supposed to be connected. I don't care if people talk about y'all. I don't care if they make fun of y'all. It's supposed to be connected. And that's why divorce in front of God is so disappointing. Because in a sense, something that was stuck together intimately like glue is being ripped apart. If something is stuck, the only way you can tear it apart is maybe take an axe to it and slice it. It's so stuck apart. But if we're not cleaving to one another, if we're not spiritually growing, if we're not being a spiritual help, that's why I think, when you're talking about being when you're talking about being a helpmate, it's spiritual and physical. And if as a woman, if you don't see your value in being like God, when Moses wrote that poem in the book of Deuteronomy, he talked about the help of Israel. God was that help. So woman, you have your God-given help to a man. You're you're not God, obviously, but you're God-like in your help to a man. That I've never heard anybody say that, and I'm not bragging on myself. But a woman in marriage is God's help to the man. You're the help of God to your man. You're the Ezer Kenidu. And if you understand that position, you will take it serious. Emotional help, physical help. I don't distinguish the help. It's help in any realm. So ask yourself. Don't look at yourself as a doormat helpmate. Look at yourself as a helper from God. How would God help this man if he was here in flesh? You be what God called you to be. You guys have a blessed day. Take care. Tell me what you think. Have a blessed one, man. Intimacy. Spiritual intimacy is first above all. Then physical. That's what a marriage is. And you have to go back to the beginning of time. See, because when you're not intimate, spiritually and then physically, you allow Satan to come in. He seeks to devour. Since guys, his tricks don't change. He's been wanting to divide the family since Adam and Eve, and he's still doing it today. Be blessed, guys. Take care. Have a great day.